Jiu-Jitsu is a very controversial sport just because of a lot of the characters that are in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the political affiliations that they have. There's a lot of Brazilian people who practice the sport, and Americans too. And there are strong tendencies, I
Yes.
guess. I guess a lot of people that like Jair Bolsonaro, the
Yeah.
regime in
Yeah.
Brazil, and a lot of people in the United
Hmm.
States that are fans of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then it gets into this whole kind of
Yes.
cultural clash, if you will, that
Yeah.
exists within the community. I mean, there are people in our community that are like, big potheads, for example, that just love
Yeah.
to like light up, roll at the gym, and who are very much on the liberal side of the cultural spectrum. But then you do have the way more conservative factions. What is your experience with that? And then, I guess, in terms of the larger cultural sense, the cultural experience that you have doing this sport.
Okay. So I think jujitsu is one of those places where every kind of person gets to train in the same room. It's like being on the subway, but you're about to fight everyone that's there.
Yeah,
So you get to meet people who have different political associations. For the most part, it doesn't matter because all you need your training partners to do is show up so you can fight each other.
doesn't
Um,
matter. Doesn't matter though in this sense. There, one large debate in MMA and in jiu-jitsu that I've seen just being on the left. I'm part of this one group on Facebook. It's a leftist, specifically leftists who practice martial arts. And one of the recurring conversations that comes up is the way that some gyms, the attitudes that they have towards the LGBT community, specifically trans community. This is Pride Month. We've been seeing a lot of stuff, a lot of intersectional, I guess, um, content online now. People, I just saw scrolling on Instagram something about Black trans lives matter and stuff.
yeah.
There is a whole, I guess, first of all, debate, which is crazy to think, a debate about actual people, the way that I'm perceiving it. You're going to debate whether someone is allowed to come into the gym or not. Um, and then the whole debate about the competition and stuff. But what have you seen in terms of that, I guess?
So, first of all, any gender outside of male in the jiu-jitsu community is marginalized to a certain degree.
Uh-huh.
With
It
that
is a male dominated
distinction,
sport.
yeah, it's a male-dominated sport. You're there for like the dude hang when you're doing jiu-jitsu, which I'm fine with. But I have sometimes felt uncomfortable, complicit, um, because I'm like, I'm actively a part of a space where there are no trans people, and that feels wrong.
Uh-huh.
And not just that there are no trans people, that there's no possibility for trans people. There's no like gender non-conforming locker room. It's
Yeah.
like if you it's like if you have this anatomy, you go here. If you have this anatomy, you go here. There's no possibility for anything different. Um and it's weird. I don't know what to say about that because especially now that we're all being forced to think about these issues so much more and to think about where we have privilege. I have privilege in that I've always felt like a woman. So it's sort of like when I go into the women's locker room, it's so easy for me to just go into the women's locker room and not think about it. But I have had some conversations with some of my teammates that are women, never that are men, that are women, where I'm like, wait a minute, are we misgendering this person? Like, are we sure they want to go by this pronoun? We don't really have a good way of talking about it right now. It hasn't entered the hyper masculine world of jujitsu. And I think it's because like when people start letting in that possibility, they also have to look at the fact that the sport asks us to be intimate with people. Like, we're fighting, but we're like in somebody's space. We are engaging with somebody's body, and that is intimate. So if you let in, like, if you let in like a nuanced idea of gender, then I think people start getting uncomfortable, which is okay. People should be uncomfortable when they don't understand something or when something is new because they're wired to be that way. But we've also invented like quantum computing. So I feel like we can fucking just get over it and work past that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, you mentioned all of the things that you just said, but when it comes down to personal choice and, you know, understanding you're jumping into a I don't even want to say hyper masculine, because masculine then connotes that like it's anti-women, anti-LGBT. I think that there is a type of masculine identity that can be accepting of all of that. When you're
Yeah.
entering places that are maybe just blatantly toxically masculine, or they're owned by someone that has these sorts of beliefs, yet in the spirit of, hey, we all get on the mat and we all train with one another, and maybe there's not anything that is specifically anti-trans except
But
maybe
it's,
like,
if you're
how
not,
do you navigate in terms of your personal choice?
here's the thing. Well, first of all, I'm not 100% sure what that means. But I know for sure if it's never mentioned and if it's totally under the rug or if it's not allowed in the space, then it's oppressive because the reason why we don't talk about trans things is because we don't accept it.
Yeah.
If we did accept it, like people date people date where I train. So we can openly talk about their relationships. We can openly say, "Oh yeah, these two are dating. They're going out to dinner after this." So the fact that we don't openly feel comfortable talking about someone's sexuality or someone's gender identity, that denotes that we have a certain level of discomfort with it. And I think that's I'm starting to believe that that's wrong.
And friends, thanks for tuning in to another clip of Johnny's Jabs. If you liked what you just saw, please be sure to share this with your family and friends and comment below. And if you want to get more content like this, it's easy. Just click the bell below to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Johnny DeBoer.